Okay, so now it's time to inject the chicken and then season it, and then we'll put it on the smoker. We're going to try to maintain around 275. It is cold today, and hopefully I'd like to do this in a 2-hour process. So we'll go ahead and get to injecting, and then we'll shape these up the way that we want them. So I try to focus on where the judge is going to bite, which is right here on each end. These were brined for 6 hours. And then what I'll do is when I season these, we'll let it set just for a few more minutes. And then the first part of this process, the goal is to get the rub to set. And then the next part of the process is to, cook it in a butter bath. Now I'm going to split these up. These are, on my right, 5 ounces or higher, and then these obviously are the smaller ones. I don't know about turning in a smaller piece. But I'm going to see how those cook as well, but I like these bigger ones. I've got 7. I was going for 8, but when you buy a big package, that's just what happens. This is basically a chicken bouillon cube with my sweet heat mesquite. So I'll cook on a Weber. I've just got Kingsford charcoal, and I'm going to do applewood. I try to avoid any like hickory, things like that that might give it a strong, overly smoked kind of flavor to it. Okay. Like to season both sides. We'll cook them on this pizza pan that's vented. I try to avoid heavily powdered rubs because those tend to, especially if you cook hot and fast, they tend to burn and give a dark appearance. I also, after scraping these and before brining these, I did the jacquard, where I poked a bunch of holes in the skin to also help tenderize it and render that skin to where it's bite through. That one probably won't make the box since that skin's been ripped, but I'm not too worried about it. You can choose to season under the skin as well, and on top. I've done it both ways. I just try to avoid over seasoning it. And so I like doing it this way. I think I get enough flavor with the injection and the brine. Some people spritz. I used to. I'm not worried about spritzing it because I want the rub to I want it to set. And I feel like if I spritz it, it tends to wash it off. Okay. And after the rub sets, we'll get this in a pan and do the butter bath. I'll do 2 pans. The smaller chicken will go in 1 pan. And the bigger pieces will go in another one, and I'll cook those on top. I like cooking on a rack. I just feel like you can just pull the whole thing off, and it's easier to handle. Hopefully I can get all these on there. Yeah, that's all right. All right, so you can let these set for 15-20 minutes. Since I'm fighting weather and it's getting cloudy, I'm actually going to go ahead and get these on, and then we'll come back. I'll show you how to build a box. I'm going to cook these until the rub sets, and when the rub sets, I'm going to do like on the Harry Sue video, where you scrape the finger on it and the rub doesn't come off. And then we'll get it into the pan, butter bath, wrap it, and sauce them, and we'll do the boxing, and I'll give some tips for what the judges look at. And put it all together here. All right, they're on. We'll check it in probably 30 minutes. I'll set a timer on my phone. We'll see what they look like, and we'll get ready to do some kale in a box. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so the chicken is on, and we're going to talk about building a box. So when you get into a contest and you get checked in, they are going to bring you these styrofoam boxes. You're going to have a number. When they get turned in, there will be another number that gets placed on top of that. I would say if you're a one-person team, when they bring these boxes after your meat inspection, you're going to probably at one point during some downtime, depending on if you do ancillary contests, we can kind of pretty this up. It does not have to be perfect right now. You know, you're going to want to build these boxes and kind of get them done and out of the way. So I tend to try to buy, I do kale. So during the contest, when they judging it, they judge the appearance of the meat and they judge on the legality of what you use. Believe it or not, some teams actually may use like the wrong thing, like red cabbage, certain types of lettuce. Most teams usually do kale or parsley, and I would stick with that because kale is easy to build. It does not take a long time. You can buy your kale a few days ahead, put it in a box, put it in a sandwich bag, a big like 1 gallon sandwich bag, and you can keep it in your cooler. And then when it comes time to build your boxes, you want to build them in order of like your turn-in. So your chicken, rib, pork, brisket. And then I keep each one of those boxes in a sandwich bag, and I have a cooler that's designated for holding that, because you don't want it, you know, wilted and looking bad. They're not going to judge on the appearance of the garnishment, but they're going to judge on the legality of it. I'm not too worried about this whole thing looking pretty, because chicken's going to set on it. It's going to cover up most of it. And you don't have to garnish. You don't have to use this. You can actually just put the meat in the box. But most teams actually use some sort of garnishment. And so to compete with them, I want to get good at, you know, just building a box. These really don't take that long. If you're a one-person team, you can't build these ahead of time, because at a contest they will provide you with a box. And then when I store them in the big like 1 gallon Ziploc bags, you don't want a lot of stems sticking up. I will lightly damp. I'll take a water bottle, spray it, and place a paper towel in there just to keep it looking crisp. I usually just pick a corner and start working my way this way. So all I'm doing is basically taking this and just tearing the ends right there. Some people will place some things on it just to kind of weight it down. You can do that. Some like to build a high box where it's very firm, and when they set the chicken up, it's setting high. Same thing with ribs. But you put 6, 7, even 8 pieces, which if I use the bigger pieces of chicken, 6 is probably all I'm going to really be able to get in here. And so when they open this box up, during turn-in time, they present it to the judges. What they've been telling the judges is, you know, don't judge what's around the box, because sometimes sauce gets on there. You know, judge the meat. So what the judge is supposed to do is they're going to look at the garnishment. Do you have 6 pieces? Does it look delicious? Does it look nice and shiny? Does it look moist? Literally, the judge is going to look at it like maybe like 3 seconds. what scores a box down, at least I feel, is if the sauce looks gloppy and if the meat looks dark or burnt. That's why I'm sometimes hesitant on using like real powdery rubs. And what I've seen some teams, what I think I've seen in the few contests I've judged, is if they have trouble rendering that skin down, I think what they'll do is they'll take it and put it on a grill and, you know, try to basically grill it. Which obviously will burn the rub, sometimes burn the skin. If you do hot and fast and use powdery rubs, sometimes that will give a dark appearance. So anything dark, burnt, even though, in my opinion, like backyard wise, it makes a good piece of meat, you risk the chance of it being judged down. Not my prettiest box, but I mean, that took, I don't know, let's see, took about 7 minutes. So if you have 4 boxes, it takes about half an hour. You do this a few times, it can be quicker. If you got a nice looking, I usually buy 2 or 3 bunches, so you know I have some left over. I could build another partial box. So I usually buy 2 or 3 bunches of these and build my boxes. Some teams actually will take pork, chop it, put that at their base, and then do their turn-ins. But if it's in the box, the judge can judge it. So, you know, I've seen a few teams where they chop the chicken, put it in the bottom. Well, a judge can actually judge what's in the bottom of that. So if it comes out dry, you know, they're going to judge each piece. So that's how you build a box. It doesn't take long. Again, I would stick with kale and parsley. That's what most teams are doing. I'll put this off to the side, and then I think we got about 20 minutes, and we'll see how the chicken is coming. All right, so it's been 30 minutes. Like I said, we're going to check this. I'm just going to use my phone for this because I can get up close, but this is what I'm talking about. I want to see that rub set on there, and it's not. It's getting there, but this is what they look like after 30 minutes. My temperature dropped down to, I don't know if you can see that. It was 275, it's 250, but I pulled the lid off just to kind of peek at it. And so the temperature is dropping some. So I will get this lid back on there. I'll probably check it in another 30 minutes. All right, so we're back. The rub has set. It is starting to get a little dark in some spots, but it's setting. So we've got our butter in the pans. I'm going to take the bigger pieces. I'm going to place them right in here. Like this one, and I'm not going to place any butter right on top of it because I don't want it washing the rub off. So we got 6. Let's do there's 7. These are our smaller pieces. Most of these actually weighed out less than 5 ounces. Whoops. I don't think they'll be as juicy or moist as, you know, obviously the bigger pieces, but we'll see. Who knows? I might like actually cooking ones that are just slightly smaller. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, that's good. So who knows? Again, another practice run to see how the bigger ones do with the smaller ones. I don't like the shape of some of these. The symmetry's off. The bigger ones do look a little bit better. We'll foil these. The total time was about 45-50 minutes to actually get it to this point. I haven't checked the temp. I'm not worried about it. I'll give these 15 to 20 minutes and then I will check the temperature. So the next time we're back, so I'll check these in 20 minutes depending on how close they are to being done. I might do another video, but next time we'll definitely have these pulled off and I'll show you the saucing and boxing of these. This will be, the smaller ones will be in the bottom, the second rack on my Weber. The bigger ones are going to be in the top rack. And yeah, we'll check in about 15-20 minutes, see how it goes. Alright, so we're 30 minutes into the wrapping process, cooking it in the butter bath. 15 minutes ago I checked it and the average temp was around 158 to 161. We're going to temp the top pan. And see where we're setting at. So we're 177, 179, about 180. Okay. So probably another 15 minutes on that. And we'll check this one real quick. This is the smaller pieces that have been on the second rack. Yeah, they're all cooking about even, 180. I used to never weigh these chicken pieces. I would just trim and cook them. But the process I've learned is, again, pay attention to detail. And weighing them, they cook obviously more even, which will also help with the boxing process, because believe it or not, I've done the couple contests I did, I never practiced the boxing. And you'd be shocked if you have 6 pieces and you're actually trying to put in a styrofoam box. Sometimes those pieces are real big, they may not fit right. So I guess my 2 tips would be, at least for chicken, weighing it, and then practice boxing with all the meats, because you'd be shocked at 6 ribs may not fit in there exactly the way you want it. You may want to put more brisket slices in, depending on how you do your pork box. It's just an easy score if you can nail that appearance and nail that boxing process. It's just an easy score of a 9 that you can get on there that will win the judges over, and if it looks good, it should taste good. So there's a little bit of a psychology process with that that I think affects your tenderness and flavor scores. So I'm going to give that another 15 minutes. We started this process at 1. It's 2:40, so it's been an hour and 40 minutes. I was hoping for about a 2-hour process. If I was in a contest, I'd want to start around 9:30. Hopefully be done around 11:30. Allow myself a 30-minute window. That way, if it's going too slow or I need to adjust something, Plus I can pull those off, let them rest. So we'll check these in 15 minutes and see how they are. So I'd say I'm close to being on time if I was at a contest and wanted to start this with, depending on weather. When I actually started this, it was cloudy, and it was actually pretty cold out. It was like 40 degrees. Now it's sunny, and at one point I think right before I did the butter bath, when I wrapped these, my pit temp jumped a bit, but it's because it's now, it's sunny and it started to warm up some. So, all right, we'll check these in 15 minutes, see how they look. Hopefully we'll pull them off and start saucing these. All right, it's been a total of 20 minutes. So we're like just a little bit over 2 hours into the cooking process. So let's go ahead and temp these. 192, and they feel really tender. My target temp would normally be like about 200, 195. Like, we usually 195, and I really start checking this to see how tender they are around 200, but I really like the way they actually feel. So I say that's close enough. I'm not going to worry about the smaller ones. I am going to vent that. Because I like these bigger ones. So, let's pull these out. This is 3 cups of my sweet and tangy, a little spoonful or a dollop of blackberry preserves. I'm going to sauce these and then place them back on the smoker. A little harder to handle than I thought. I know some people use those little hooks that have been, I think it's like a little hook that you can use to pick up the chicken, but I tend to not trust those as much. Color-wise, I like these. I'm just going to put them back on the smoker and give it a few minutes. Symmetry-wise, I've got some work to do. I don't have my journal out here, but I will. I journal every cook, every practice I do. I take note of the temperature, how long it took before I had to pull these and wrap them. All right. So these are going to go back on. We'll give them a few minutes. Meantime, let's just peek at these and see how they look. Again, uniformity, the symmetry. I mean, some of these obviously wouldn't make the box. That kind of pulled back. I don't know about cooking a, whoops, it is getting windy out here. But hey, these are the elements you go through at a contest. I mean, really not too bad for smaller pieces. But I've got some work to do on the trimming. So now that I feel a little bit more confident about this, and this chicken I bought from Sam's Club. I bought the big pack, so you really don't know what you're getting. So you do have to go through a lot of these. You have to wean a lot of them out. I do like putting some of the blackberry preserves in it. I think it helped with the shine. Obviously, I could get more of these into a box. Let's go ahead and just kind of dust these. This is my hickory rub. I may try the mesquite. But again, I tend to lean away from, even if it's slightly spicy. So let's move that. And let's see. Let's get ready to see what these bigger pieces look like in a box. I cannot stress to you that the first contest I ever did, I'd actually never practiced boxing. I did not think I could actually get 6 pieces of chicken in because of the size. And then learning and studying, found out I should actually start weighing these. Okay, hopefully this thing does not blow away. It is actually getting really windy out here. Okay, let's set that right there. And I would not put these on here. So let's put the smaller ones on. You really only need four to 6 minutes roughly. Okay, so the one thing I learned was at the first contest I did, I got knocked for my sauce being too gloppy. I think this actually looks okay. Cold sauce on warm meat will make it thicken up and congeal, and it doesn't give a nice shine to it. A few things I don't like already. I've got a little bit of pooling on the meat right there. I wish that would set a little bit. I could give it a little bit longer. I could take a brush and kind of and brush it. This right here, I've got a little spot right there that I don't like. Wish a little bit more rub was right there. Again, the symmetry, I've got a little area that's sticking out right there. I wish these looked a little bit more like fluffy pillows, but that's just part of the the process, the trimming process and things like that. Okay, so let's start with this one. Still pretty warm. I have seen people cook smaller pieces. I'll put this smaller piece in. So what this is telling me, I mean 6 pieces do all right in there, but these were my pieces that were a little bit bigger than 5 ounces. So a lot of these were actually like 6 to 7. So I might actually go with smaller pieces. I may start trimming that. That's again part of the learning process with this. Find out what works and what doesn't and what you're comfortable with. Again, I forgot to I don't think I dusted these, but let's just go. You want to focus on where the judges bite. I would normally do this right before actually placing these in the box. So turn this in. They're going to put a new sticker on top of this. It's going to go to the judges table. The table captain's going to open this up. They're going to present it to the 6 judges. They're going to look. They're going to judge the meat. They're not going to worry about this. They're going to judge to make sure the legality of your of the garnishment, that you got 6 pieces in. Does it look good? Does it look moist? Does it look tender? Does it look, glossy, shiny? It really isn't too bad. I've done a little bit better as far as setting the sauce on that. So then they'll judge it. I'm actually going to pull my other pieces out, and then we'll take a bite. I could have done 2 boxes and then actually compared them. But it's funny because I'm looking at some pieces right here. That's too small, that's too small. I mean, there's 5 really good pieces that fit in a box. That's a little bit smaller than most, but it's close. Again, I want uniformity. So who knows, I may actually start trimming these a little bit more. Maybe I can fit, some teams put 6, 7, even 8. So let's see, because I know these are still hot. I'm just going to check. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. I had to switch cameras out, and it is getting very windy. We're going to sample one of these and at least see what we think. I don't want it overly sweet. I don't want it spicy. So it's, again, you want kind of like I know it seems silly to say this, but just balanced flavors. You don't want it overly spicy. You don't want it overly sweet. You want the chicken to stand out, so that's a good bite through. The flavors are well balanced. I'm actually glad I pulled that around 190. So that tastes good. I like the hickory rub on that. And I'll make sure I post the recipes that I use for the injections and the brine. They're real basic. I made them Let's try a smaller piece. So, other than the bite through skin, the meat should be tender. It shouldn't be mushy. It should have a slight spring to it. So I might actually try cooking these maybe a smaller piece. Just slightly, maybe like 5 ounces. I tried to do 6 to 7. Some of these were around 6, 5.5. So I really don't mind the smaller piece actually. I was worried about the smaller pieces actually drying out, and they're not. Again, I brine these for 6 hours. The injection, I probably could have let set maybe for a little bit. But so far I like the way that turned out. I just need to work on the trimming process so these come out a little bit better into more, you know, what we call the little chicken pillows. So I like this, how the sauce turned out. I like how the rub set. It's got good flavor. So I will, again, I make a journal of every cook I do, and then you know, this will probably be the process that I do, cooking it on the Weber, how I did the cooking process, cooking on the pizza pan, setting the rub when I foil, I'll journal all that stuff, and then I'll try to reproduce those cooks. Just a matter of nailing down the size, and you know, I got done in just a little bit more than 2 hours. I mean, I could have literally let it set in the pans for another 10 minutes, and only thing that would have thrown me off would have been, you know, the weather, the temperature, things like that. But I try to journal that and take note of it, so I know how long it takes me. But I hope this video helps during your cooking process, especially for chicken. It just takes a lot of practice, and other than, you know, the recipes, I would try to focus on the timelines, the boxing, and again the trimming process. I'm probably being a little harsh on myself, but judging a handful of these contests, I mean, these competitors have done this like 40 times, are just nailing the perfection of every aspect of this. So I mean, it's just going to take a little time, but so far I'm actually pretty happy with that. So I hope this video helps. The next one up will be ribs, and we'll go through that process. And then the more I do these, I will actually start setting up basically and cooking this like a contest, where one day I'll do a practice run of all 4 meats. I'll be up early, I'll run it like a contest, and I'll have all 4 boxes, and we'll see if we can nail this whole process down and maybe get a grand champion win. Thanks for watching.